What's up, everybody? Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy Holidays, and welcome back to Boot Wizard. For all of you who've been following me for a long time and for the last kind of month, maybe 5 weeks, have been like, where has the Boot Wizard gone? We will answer all of that in a future video. Today is the annual Boot Wizard Boot Awards, and again, those of you who followed me for a while will notice in a shiny new Boot Wizard Boot Studio, Boot Room. You decide. What should it be called? Let me know down in the comments, but let's get on with it. We're gonna cover all the awards today, all the big ones, all the little ones, some personal favorites. But yeah, let's get on with it. I already said that, right? Roll the credits, the titles, the beginning. I've not done this for a while. Our first award is going to be Best Remake of 2020. And before I jump into that, I just want to say a quick shout out to Umbro, who sent me this delightful little number. I won it in a competition. New Ireland jersey, which I like a lot and corresponds, of course, with my new home. And of course, a huge shout out to our Patreons who have continued to support the channel, and literally without them, Boot Wizard would not happen. So thank you to each and every one of them. But Best Remake 2020, what do you reckon it should be? I have gone for a very recent pick. It might be an obvious pick, but I couldn't pick anything else. Of course, what else could it be? It is these little beauties. It is the Ananas F50 Addy Zero remake from Unisport. So this is the one that took the chameleon purple and the crazy light, kind of blended them together and gave you the brand new X-Ghosted tooling, which is just an amazing combination. Now, these aren't necessarily the best performing remakes of the year. For example, if we'd have gone with the Soccer.com remake, which has the hybrid touch upper, that is going to be a much nicer upper, a better performing boot. However, remakes on the whole are getting a bit boring, they're getting a bit stale. The Pro Direct one, the Soccer.com one, they are literally an old colorway with brand new tooling. And while that's fine, it's definitely worked for the Predator remakes, what this here shows is that you can take an old concept, you can take that crazy light upper and the chameleon purple upper, blend them together, use the one-to-one upper from the original materials, put new tooling on it so that it is brand new, so that it is usable or more usable in 2020, and give everybody something fantastic. This is obviously the boot that people went the most nuts for from that memory lane pack, and it's because of the design. It has nostalgia, it has everything you want, but at the same time, it's not just another colorway. And honestly, I think J-Mike, the team at Unisport, absolutely smashed this one out of the park. I do have to give an honorable mention to another boot that I suppose you could consider it a remake. It would probably be my best limited edition boot of the year, but it didn't sell particularly well. And it's probably, and I'm sorry lads, I know you've heard it 100 times, it's probably in the wrong color. We are of course talking about the Predator Archive. The concept for this boot, everything about it, I think is absolutely fantastic. And it's another example where you can do a remake, you can do nostalgia without just knocking out a new tooling on an old upper. You can actually be a bit creative. And I think the Predator Pro, Pred Collective, they did a fantastic job of designing this boot. There's a lot of criticism about the blue. I don't dislike the blue, but you have to say that with it being a Predator remake, it probably should have been the black, white, and red, but it's still certainly, it was released in January. It's been the forefront of my mind the whole year, and I had to mention it in this year's awards. So that's award 1 out of the way. What's number 2? Award number 2 is for the most underrated boot of the year. And I don't actually have it with me right now, but I do have a review video up of it. Had a few sizing quirks here and there. However, in the end, it's just a phenomenal boot. My biggest complaint with this one, why it's not really pushing for maybe higher status in general, is that they have bumped the price so much on it. This is 30 euros more, 30 pounds even more expensive than the other boot in this brand's range, and it's a big jump of over 40 pounds on the previous generation. The quality's better, the boot is better, but they're pricing themselves right up with those Adidas 0.1 level boots, and that is a very dangerous place to be when you are not a big 3 brand. What am I talking about? It is the Lotto Maestro 100 version 4, and that bright yellow boot that I reviewed. Check out the video on it. I'll leave a link up in the corner. Just a phenomenal boot. It's not perfect, but in terms of how much hype it got, how much coverage it got, there was barely any. Last year's Solista from Lotto got far more traction and far more hype, and I think that this year's Maestro is far superior to it. The Lotto Solista is a great boot. They did really well. It got the hype because it had the laceless model, but Maestro is better. If you can, I would go out and pick it up. I'll also leave a link where you can buy this one down in the top comment from ProDirect, where it's also on sale and much more worth your while. Most underrated boot of the year, without a question for me, Lotto Maestro 100 version 4. Next up, most annoying boot of the year. And historically, I've given this to Adidas Predator lines, Adidas Copa lines, the ones that they just don't change them year upon year. Predator 18 to 19, basically the same boot. Copa 19 to 20 is the same boot. They've even taken the fusion skin off it now, so it is identical. But either way, what boot has really irritated me this year is usually due to naming and changes of models and things like that. Well, this year, this dishonor goes to Puma for 2 reasons. Firstly, we get these, the Puma Future 5.1, a boot I absolutely love, a boot that made it into my boots of the year list last year. That's how much I like it. I wear this a lot. However, they now have the Puma Future 6.1, which is exactly the same boot, but it has a slightly grippier element on the front. It just didn't need a new name. That's a running change that you put in. Maybe you release a bit of press about it, but Future 6.1, absolutely not. Very much irritating. Puma's just amount of boots they release in terms of new versions, 2.1, blah, blah, blah. So many boots, and it irritates me. Also, apologies, there's no laces in these. I've been testing them for some grip socks without any laces as a low lockdown boot. Short version, don't do it. It's a bad idea. And then next up, Puma get this one as well. It is, of course, the Puma Ultra 1.1 or the 1.2. Don't get me wrong, the Puma Ultra is a phenomenal boot. One that I think Puma have done their best work in years on this boot, maybe even their best boot ever. However, in this instance, they had the Puma Ultra 1.1. They then released a Puma Ultra 1.2. You want to know what the difference is? The graphics ran all the way to the back instead of only 3/4 of the way down. Why is that a brand new boot? Why does that deserve a brand new name? It doesn't. So Puma this year, we're calling you out. Stop it, just stop it. They're not new boots, they're not new lines. Just make running changes and just let us know about them. It's all good. Puma Ultra, Puma Future, most annoying boot of the year. Now we're going to talk about the worst update of the year. So this is a boot that has previously been good or at least acceptable and then has been updated this year by a brand and it's just not good anymore. It's not something I recommend. It's not something I would go out and buy, and in this instance, it's particularly frustrating because what they had was a fantastic boot and in my opinion, they've completely murdered it, killed the momentum they had with it, and instead of having two really great boots on the market, they now only have one. Well, they only had one before, but they could have had two, and now they have one again. I am going on about the New Balance Tequila V3 Pro. This lovely little number here, which I will admit I actually quite like the looks of, especially in this color. I don't mind the mid-cut collar so much, it's kind of growing on me, but this boot is impossible to get on. Like, so unbelievably hard. It can take you a solid 10-15 minutes just to get the boots on your feet, and it's just painful. On top of that, the upper is now, in my opinion, too stiff because of all the extra texturing. The kinetic stitch has been changed, and with this whole idea of, you know, strike zones and where you contact with the ball and all that, we've heard it a million times. It's nothing new, it's nothing special, and I honestly think that they have kind of ruined what they had going with the Tequila V2. V2 was a fantastic boot, really, really nice. The synthetic upper they had was amazing, and that was technically a better boot than the Tequila V1. But even from 1 to 2, what you've got is a slight shift into a boot that fixes some of the 1's problems, but is still a little bit less special. It's not as wide, it's not as comfortable. The 2 loses some of the elements that made the 1 special, even though it's objectively a better football boot. And then the 3, they've gone a completely different direction, and this just is not for me at all. This could have been the most disappointing boot overall, because I expected so much because New Balance have been doing such good things. But as it is, this is just a disappointing and terrible upgrade on the V2. Sorry, New Balance, I love you really. There's a strong chance that this video is going to go a lot longer than I anticipate it going, and I may have to split this into 2 parts. So if I do have to split this into 2 parts, this is the end of part 1. Please remember to like the video, share it to your friends, get subscribed to the channel, and comment down below where you agree and disagree with me. And of course, if you are subscribed, get the notifications on, because then you'll know when part 2 goes live, which realistically should be the day after this goes live. It really depends how long this is. Thanks for watching. I'll see you soon. Or I might just continue with the video and this will be all one part and you might never see this. Onwards.